Canterbury, home to one of the finest cathedrals in Europe and famed for its narrow medieval alleyways, cobbled streets, riverside gardens and ancient city walls. This compact city is a melting pot of creativity, filled with great shopping and eating venues, vibrant nightlife and countless impressive historical buildings. We explore how to get here and get around, what there is to see and do here, where to stay, and we'll even suggest some fantastic spots nearby that you may want to add to your Canterbury itinerary. Okay, let's jump right in. Located in the county of Kent in southeast of England, Canterbury is easy to access by train, bus or car. Many visitors travel to Canterbury from London, where the train is the best option. In under an hour from London St Pancras International, you can take the high-speed train into Canterbury West. Or for those not in a hurry and looking to save a little money, the mainline train from London Victoria or London Charing Cross to Canterbury East takes around 1 hour 40 minutes. If you're on a tight budget, the cheapest option is to go by coach from London Victoria Coach Station, where services run hourly and take around 2 hours. If you're travelling onto or from Dover, there are regular trains between Canterbury East and Dover Priory that take under 30 minutes. Or you can take the bus for around an hour from the bus station. For those arriving by car, there are several car parks in and around the city centre, but they are expensive. You're better off using one of the park and ride facilities, where you can securely park on the outskirts of the city and take one of the frequent shuttle bus services to and from the city centre. Canterbury's city centre is very compact, and its main attractions are within easy walking distance of each other, making this the best way of getting around. It's also worth noting that several roads inside the city walls are open only to pedestrians. To give you an example of Canterbury's size, walking from one end of the high street to the other takes around 10 minutes. Outside of the city walls, traffic congestion can be a real problem, depending on the time of day, so walking is the best option unless you're travelling further outside of town. Considering Canterbury's compact size, there are many interesting things to see and do here, and of course it's packed full of history, which is the city's main draw for visitors. We strongly recommend researching and planning where you want to go before your trip, particularly if you're only visiting for a short time, as some attractions are not open every day and some may need to be pre-booked in advance. Here are several of the city's highlights, covering a range of interests, some of which may surprise you. We start with Canterbury's World Heritage Site, which is a big attraction for visitors, plus some related points of interest close by. This is St Martin's Church, located a short distance outside the city walls. This small, unassuming building is believed to be the oldest church in the English-speaking world, part Roman, part Saxon and part medieval. St Martin's Church is still a place of regular Christian worship today, as it has been for over 1400 years. Initially, the pagan King Ethelbert of Kent gave this building to his Christian wife, Queen Bertha, to use as her private chapel. In 597 AD, St Augustine was sent by Pope Gregory the Great to convert the king, who saw an opportunity as the king's wife was already Christian, and so he initially based his mission here. Such is the historical significance of this church. St Martin's forms 1/3 of the Canterbury World Heritage Site. Now, the original church has long since been swallowed up by medieval refurbishment, but it's still worth the short walk east of St Augustine's Abbey, if you have the time. Further towards the city centre is St Augustine's Abbey. After converting to Christianity and being baptised, likely in St Martin's Church, King Ethelbert enabled a cathedral to be built within Canterbury's city walls, and this abbey just outside. Christianity began to flourish throughout the kingdom, so the king provided the resources to build and maintain a second cathedral in Rochester, and a third, the famous St Paul's Cathedral in London. After being founded in 598, St Augustine's Abbey functioned as a monastery and became an important religious school. The abbey was a significant place of pilgrimage until its dissolution in 1538 during the English Reformation under King Henry VIII. Little remains of the abbey today, aside from its foundations. However, the museum, managed by English Heritage, does a great job of bringing its history to life through a new VR experience, which helps underline the importance of this site. Just around the corner, on the aptly named Monastery Street, you'll find Frindon's Gate, or the Great Gate, which was the abbey's main gatehouse. It was built in 1301 by Abbot Thomas Frindon. After the Tudor dissolution of the monasteries, King Henry VIII converted part of the abbey into a palace, which was leased to a succession of families who were expected to accommodate royal visitors whenever called upon. Royalty from the likes of King Charles I and II are known to have stayed here, in the chambers just above the gate. The gatehouse was badly damaged from German bombing in World War II, but has since been rebuilt. It now forms the entrance of the King's School, England's oldest public school. Opposite Frindon's Gate is Lady Wootton's Green. Lady Wootton was the wife of Edward Lord Wootton, who took lease of the palace in 1612. It was Lady Wootton who entertained King Charles I and his newlywed wife Henrietta Maria at the palace on their wedding night, and so it later became known as Lady Wootton's Palace. This small green was named in her honour, although it has been known by other names over the years. Two prominent statues in the centre of the green are that of Queen Bertha and King Ethelbert, which were installed to celebrate Kent's greatest king and queen at this important turning point in English history. We'll head back into the city walls now, to the Canterbury World Heritage Site's most famous attraction, Canterbury Cathedral. The magnificent Canterbury Cathedral is quite rightly the city's #1 attraction, and one of the oldest and most famous Christian structures in England. Founded by St Augustine in 597, Canterbury Cathedral is a unique place of worship, a major pilgrimage destination, a masterpiece of art and architecture, and one of the UK's most visited historic sites. Often referred to as England in stone, the cathedral has been at the centre of many momentous events and upheavals. It is the mother church of the worldwide Anglican Communion, the seat of the Archbishop of Canterbury, and the resting place of royalty and saints. The cathedral was completely reconstructed between 1070 and 1077, and then at the beginning of the 12th century it was greatly enlarged and rebuilt in the Gothic style following a fire. In 1498 the Bell Harry Tower was extended, and it was then that the cathedral was largely completed to how you see it today. This UNESCO World Heritage Site is inextricably linked to the murder of its most famous Archbishop, Thomas Becket. After a long-lasting dispute, King Henry VII is said to have exclaimed, "Who will rid me of this turbulent priest?" And on the 29th of December 1170, 4 knights set off from Canterbury and murdered Thomas inside the cathedral. The sword stroke was so violent that it broke the sword. Healing miracles were soon attributed to Thomas, and he was made a saint by the Pope in 1173, and it was then that the cathedral became a major pilgrimage destination in Europe. A modern version of the Altar of the Sword's Point can now be seen where the murder took place. Many other historically important moments took place here, and as you walk around this incredible building you can't help but feel a connection to them, as well as a feeling of peace and serenity that this magnificent building evokes. Visitors to Canterbury Cathedral must purchase a ticket at the visitor centre and shop on Buttermarket Square. We strongly suggest checking their website for the latest opening times, which can change regularly, and for ticket information and prices. Just to the left of the Canterbury Cathedral Visitor Centre, you can't miss the highly decorative Christ Church Gate. Originally built to celebrate the marriage of Arthur, the Prince of Wales, to Catherine of Aragon in 1502, this gateway incorporates heraldic motifs, including coats and arms of mythical beasts. In the centre of the gateway, you see a prominent Christ figure. This large figure was significantly damaged and removed in 1642, along with the 2 wooden gates. The Christ figure was not actually replaced until 1990. This highly photographed site has been the subject of numerous paintings, including several by the famous William Turner. Beyond the World Heritage Site, there are many more historical and architectural highlights to explore here. Here you'll find the Buttermarket Square, which is more than 800 years old. It was previously called Bull Steak as bulls were tied and baited with dogs, both for fun and because it was believed to have later made the meat more tender. Where the market once stood is now a war memorial, and this lovely little square is surrounded by several independent shops and food outlets. This is Conquest House, where on the 29th of December 1170, 4 knights are believed to have come to plan the murder of the Archbishop of Canterbury, Thomas Becket. The Crooked House is a delightful building that leans precariously over the surrounding streets. Its leaning resulted from changes to its internal chimney over many years. In 1988, the chimney finally collapsed and emergency work was done to prevent the whole building from falling down. The building was initially named after Sir John Boyes, an MP and the first recorder of Canterbury, who died in the 17th century. However, it's recently been called into question whether he actually owned or lived in the building at all, so it's now more fondly referred to as the Crooked House. This much loved and widely photographed building was once the King's School shop, but is now a charity bookshop for a local homeless charity. Inhabited since prehistoric times, it was the Romans in the 1st century that put Canterbury on the map. They were the first to build the city's defensive walls, likely between 270 and 280 AD. Constructed from stone on top of an earth bank and protected by wall towers along a large ditch, at least 5 gates were built, linking the city to a network of Roman roads. When the Romans abandoned Britain in 410 AD, Canterbury went into a period of decline, but the walls remained. Later, the Anglo-Saxons retained the walls and built chapels over most of the gates, using them to defend the city against the Vikings. In 1363, during the 100 Years' War and fears of a French invasion, a decision was made to restore the walls. 24 towers were constructed around its perimeter and many gatehouses were rebuilt in stone and brick. In the 17th century, parts of the walls were damaged and the city gates burnt during the English Civil War, but they were later restored during King Charles II's reign in 1660. During the 18th and 19th centuries, urban development put extensive pressure on the walls, when all the gates but one, Westgate, were destroyed and vast parts of the walls were knocked down to make way for new roads and buildings. German bombing during the Second World War caused further damage. Despite this, the remaining walls and gatehouse survived post-war redevelopment, and some portions were rebuilt entirely. Over half the original circuit survives today, and it's considered one of the most magnificent in Britain. When visiting Canterbury, head to the bottom of the High Street where you can explore the best kept remains of the city's walls. Westgate is the largest and arguably the finest surviving medieval gate in England, and visitors can still enter the city through its arch, as they have done since the 14th century. The Westgate was completed in 1380 by Archbishop Sudbury to replace an earlier Roman gate. Between the 15th and 19th centuries, the Westgate served as the town prison, connected by a walkway to the police station next door. The room over the arch became the condemned cell, where prisoners awaiting execution were held. Some prisoners in the 19th century even managed to escape by jumping off the roof. The 60-foot-high stronghold now stands alone and has since been lovingly restored as a museum, bar and entertainment venue. The modern museum exhibits cover 4 themes: city wars, crime and punishment, Westgate through history, and Magna Carta and the Maquettes. Once you've climbed to the top of the towers and taken in the beautiful city views and seen the museum's exhibits, head down to the Pound Bar and Restaurant and take a seat on the terrace or in the newly restored police cells that are now beautifully furnished booths. This is the Canterbury Roman Museum. Explore the ancient Roman town beneath your feet as you go back 100 years with every step you take down to the Roman street level. Here you can relive the past as you stroll through the marketplace, where you will see what people would have bought and how they lived. Pop your head into the recreated Roman rooms to learn more about life during this ancient era. There are many once buried treasures here, including the UK's only remaining Roman pavement mosaics, which have not been moved from its original place. This beautifully preserved Roman floor provides a fascinating insight into life in Roman Britain. This is the Hospital of St Thomas the Martyr of Eastbridge. Originally created to provide overnight accommodation for poor pilgrims visiting the tomb of St Thomas Becket, for over 800 years the Eastbridge has given shelter and help to pilgrims, soldiers, local societies and schoolchildren. For the last 400 years it has provided and still provides a permanent home to several elderly people. Since its foundation in 1190, the Archbishop of Canterbury has been its patron. Visitors are welcome to explore the ancient buildings and learn about their history and the part the hospital plays in the community today. Don't miss the restored chapels, sleeping quarters and dining hall. Visit their website for ticket information and up-to-date opening times. Canterbury Castle was one of Kent's 3 original royal castles, the other 2 being Rochester and Dover castles. The first wooden Motte and Bailey style castle was built atop a mound in the now neighbouring Dane Gardens, after William the Conqueror overcame King Harold and his Saxons at the Battle of Hastings in 1066. A new keep, seen here today, was completed around 1120 by Henry I, this time made from solid stone. This large castle stood 80 feet high and its walls were incredibly thick, up to 13 feet in places. There was a great hall and kitchen on the first floor, where you entered the building via a large stone staircase, and a basement below that was initially used for storage but later used as a dungeon. When King Henry II built a new castle in Dover, Canterbury Castle fell into decline and it was mainly used as a prison. Many were held here over the years, including 42 people that Queen Mary had put to death for refusing to follow her Catholic faith. The castle had fallen into ruin by the 17th century, and in 1825 the Canterbury Gas, Light and Coke Company used the castle as a storage depot. As a result, in 1901 the castle was described as a most miserable, discoloured ruin. Thankfully, the castle was purchased by Canterbury City Council, who partially restored it and opened it up to visitors. Sadly, what is visible today is in decline once again. While there are plans to revitalise this ancient castle, pieces of the masonry frequently fall from the building, which has led to the surrounding area being cordoned off. If you're in the area, it's worth a look, but you'll have to really use your imagination to picture what this castle was like in its heyday. If you'd like to learn about the fascinating 300-year history of one of society's most prolific fraternities, then add a visit to the Kent Museum of Freemasonry to your itinerary. This small free museum boasts a rare collection of exhibits of national and international importance. Its collection of Masonic material are probably the finest in the UK outside of London. The museum is run by volunteers, so you should call ahead to ensure that they are open when you plan to visit. Check their website for details. This is the Old Weaver's House, another one of the most photographed buildings in Canterbury. This beautiful half-timbered building next to the River Stour probably dates back to the 14th century, despite the 1500 date displayed on its side. The current building you see largely dates back to its reconstruction in the second half of the 16th century. The old weaver's house takes its name from Flemish and Huguenot weavers who settled here after fleeing religious persecution during the 16th and 17th centuries. At the back of the building is a medieval ducking stool projecting out over the river. This ducking stool was historically used to punish women accused by their husbands of talking back too much. The stool may also have been used on suspected witches who were dunked under the water and held there for several minutes. They were proven to be a witch if they didn't drown, but if they did, well, at least their name was cleared. This gorgeous building now houses a popular restaurant that offers lovely views over the river. Westgate Gardens. This lovely ornamental park once belonged to Tower House, home to the locally important Williamson family. In 1936, Stephen and Catherine Williamson gave Tower House and its gardens to the city. Beneath its lawns lie the foundations of a significant section of the Roman city wall and the point where Roman Watling Street crossed the river. Take a gentle stroll along the riverbank and through these much-loved gardens, and look out for the oriental plane tree whose massive and distinctive trunk is over 200 years old. This is also a great spot to stop for a picnic, weather permitting of course. Another great way to escape the hustle and bustle of the city centre is to head into the Franciscan Gardens. Inspired by the site's original use as a Franciscan friary dating back to 1224, discover a hidden gem of symbolic planting, peaceful paths and a beautiful Greyfriars Chapel that sits over the Great River Stour. Walk in the footsteps of the first Franciscans in England, arriving from Italy over 800 years ago, and learn more about the unique history of this place from one of their guides. You need to pay to access these gardens, so please visit their website for up-to-date opening times and ticket information. The Dane John Gardens, located next to Canterbury bus station, is a small garden area with a rich history of its own. When the Romans built the first city wall, they incorporated an ancient burial mound here, and later the Normans built their first castle on top of it, called Donjon, meaning fortified mound. This is where the gardens took its name from. Between 1790 and 1803, Alderman Simmons leased the land from the city council and created a garden, and the Norman mound was remodelled to what you see today. It was later taken back into public ownership where it remains now, and a monument was placed on top of Dane John Mound to commemorate Simmons for kindly gifting this garden to the city. After the garden's completion, several houses were built fronting the gardens, which can be seen here today. While many simply pass through these gardens, the Don John Cafe is an excellent place to pause, refuel and enjoy the beautiful surroundings. The popular Beanie House of Art and Knowledge is a museum, art gallery and library which also houses the Canterbury Visitor Information Centre. Come here for helpful tourist information and maps, but most of all to explore its fascinating exhibits of local and international significance. This wonderful building is named after its benefactor, Dr. James George Beanie, a Canterbury-born man of modest background who studied medicine before emigrating to Australia, where he later found success. Upon his death in 1891, Dr. Beanie left money to the city of Canterbury to create the Beanie Institute to help those from poor backgrounds such as his own. Visit their website for the latest opening times. Canterbury has a great choice of cinemas and theatres that offer a wide variety of local, national and international performances that are often cheaper than you pay to see them in London. The Marlow Theatre is Kent's major theatre for performing arts in the region. Situated in the city centre, it presents a packed year-round programme of touring theatre, musicals, dance, opera, music and comedy. The Marlow brings world-class artists and companies to Canterbury, including visits by the Philharmonia Orchestra, the National Theatre and the Royal Shakespeare Company. When visiting Canterbury, check its website to find out what's on and book your tickets in advance to avoid disappointment. Gulbenkian is the University of Kent's Arts Centre on the outskirts of the city. This modern building houses a 340-seat theatre, a 300-seat cinema and a cafe. They programme over 1,000 music, comedy, theatre, dance and film events every year, so it's well worth checking out their website to see what's on here when you're in Canterbury. The Curzon Canterbury Riverside and Westgate theatres showcase independent films from all over the world, as well as a range of exciting events including live opera, ballet and theatre broadcasts. The cinema has 8 screens across its 2 theatres, as well as great food and drink options. Visit their website to see what's on and to book your tickets. Just like many towns and cities in the UK, Canterbury has a large selection of pubs and bars to enjoy a drink or two. Thanks to its significant student population, there's something for all budgets and tastes here. In recent years, local traditions of brewing have taken off again. Canterbury has its fair share of these brewers and brewsters on its doorstep, producing top quality beer by traditional methods with locally produced ingredients. Kent is the Garden of England after all. If you're into your craft beers, then there's the fantastic Canterbury Beer Trail, which takes in the best pubs in the city to experience the best local beer and ales. If it's cocktails you're into, then check out Houdini's Magic Bar, Bramley's, the Full Staff Cocktail Bar and Lounge, and the Pound at £1 Lane. Some of these venues also offer cocktail making classes too. Canterbury is home to 3 universities, so there's quite a few late night venues here. Notable favourites currently include the Privy, Club Chemistry, Tokyo Tea Rooms and the Cuban. If you love listening to live music, several popular Canterbury venues offer live performances for different musical tastes. Favourites include Lady Luck, the Black Griffin, Bramley's and the Penny Theatre. There's also Folk in the Barn, which brings live folk, roots and acoustic music to various local venues. Whatever your music, search online for the latest list of upcoming gigs. Escape rooms are popular everywhere right now, but the rooms at £1 Lane next to Westgate Towers are a must. Where else can you experience an award-winning escape room that's set within a former city jail? Plus, you could always end the night with a little sing-song in their posh karaoke room or a drink in their popular Pound Bar. Pre-booking is strongly advised, so visit their website for full details and pricing. Alternatively, take a look at the top-rated escape rooms at Escape Kent, just on the edge of the city centre. Canterbury is rich in history, but it's also a modern city with many great shopping and food outlets catering for all tastes and budgets. As well as having most of the local and some international chains here, Canterbury hosts many small independent restaurants and retailers offering all sorts of amazing things. Canterbury's King's Mile is a collection of streets nesting beneath the spires of Canterbury's ancient cathedral and alongside the King's School. This independent quarter is where you'll find small shops and traditional traders offering handcrafted jewellery, arts, crafts, games and gifts, new and original clothing and more, alongside places to eat and drink. Many more fantastic independent shops, cafes and restaurants can be found in the High Street and the surrounding town centre area, alongside numerous national and internationally known brands. Be sure to explore the smaller roads and alleyways off the High Street to find other hidden gems. At the southern end of the High Street you'll find Whitefriars, a modern shopping centre which houses several large retail stores, cafes and restaurants and the popular Fenwick department store. If you're visiting between October and December, then look out for the delightful Christmas market at the bottom end of the High Street, which is full of small stalls selling all sorts of festive food and gifts. If you're interested in seeing the sights of Canterbury as part of a guided tour, then several options are available. River tours in Canterbury are hugely popular, and they're a great way for couples, families and friends to see the city from a different perspective and get up close to its history. There are a few local companies offering a variety of river tours on the historic River Stour. Canterbury Punting Company offers a classic river tour, a nature tour and even a haunted river tour, as either a private or shared experience. Another company is Westgate Punts, who offer short 30-minute or long 60-minute trips along the River Stour, as well as tours that include the Old City. And one other company is the Canterbury Historic River Tours, who also offer a range of 45-minute historic and educational river tours. To avoid disappointment, we strongly suggest booking river tours in advance. Check their website for the latest details and pricing. With the Canterbury city centre being so compact, a walking tour is another great way to delve a little deeper and uncover the city's hidden secrets. The official Green Badge city guides in Canterbury are knowledgeable and passionate and offer a great insight into the city. During one of their 90-minute guided walking tours, you'll visit the incredible Canterbury Cathedral, the ruins of St Augustine's Abbey, and the many other interesting and historical places in the city centre. You'll hear tales of murder, ghosts, artists and royalty. These group or private tours are informative and entertaining and give you a real sense of the city's story. Again, pre-booking is recommended. Links can be found in the description below. If you're a photography enthusiast and would like to improve your skills, then check out Images of Canterbury, headed up by the award-winning Tanya Hoser. They offer a range of courses for beginners to advanced during the day or night in the picturesque and historic city of Canterbury and in and around the beautiful Kent countryside. Alternatively, Capture Kent offer a relaxed 2-hour photography walking experience that takes in Canterbury's medieval ramparts, its almshouses and its meadows and rivers. You will get to learn the stories about the beautiful parts of the city from your tour guide, who is a local historian, as well as gain expert photography tuition on the way. If you prefer to learn about Canterbury's darker side, then the Canterbury Ghost Tour is for you. Take a 90-minute tour of Canterbury with an entertaining blend of history, humour and haunting. What tragedy befell a mother and her children in what is now Tiny Tim's tea rooms? What do the security guards of the cathedral regularly encounter on their late-night checks? Discover the answers to these and many other curious questions with Kent's premier award-winning ghost hunter. If you'd rather guide yourself around Canterbury, then there are some great self-guided tours available. We've already talked about the Canterbury Beer Trail, but there are a few others that are worth downloading to your phone and following during your time in Canterbury. All links can be found in the description below. First is the Visit Canterbury Top Attractions map, which highlights the most popular points of interest in the city area. If it's art you're into, then download and follow the Canterbury Sculpture Trail to take in some of the best public artworks in the city. There's even a Canterbury Selfie Trail, which highlights the most picturesque points of interest within the city's ancient walls. If you're travelling with kids, then the Curious About Canterbury self-guided treasure-style heritage trail is great value for money. It's available as a printed booklet or printable PDF. If you have the time, it's well worth heading a few miles outside of the city to explore some of the little neighbouring towns and villages and its nearby countryside and beaches. Here's a few great options available to you. Just 13 minutes east of the city is Howlett's Wild Animal Park. Howlett's is home to over 390 animals, including Kent's only giant anteaters, the largest herd of African elephants in the UK, and more gorillas, leopards and monkeys than any zoo in the country. Howlett's offers a fun-packed day out for all ages. Just 15 minutes east of the city is Wingham Wildlife Park. Visitors here have the chance to see hundreds of animals from all over the globe. From playful lemurs to majestic tigers, there's always plenty of exciting animals for visitors of all ages to enjoy. And finally, just 20 minutes northeast of the city is Wildwood Trust. Here you can see amazing British wildlife set within 40 acres of beautiful ancient woodland. Walk around the twisting trails and see its stunning collection of over 200 animals, including bears, wolves, otters, deers, lynx, bison and so much more. If you like canoeing, kayaking or paddleboarding, then Canoe Wild has you covered. You can hire everything you need from them for the perfect outdoor adventure. Paddle or row on your own along the River Stour from either of their sites, Fordwich or Grove Ferry, or between the two, which takes around 2.5 hours, depending on how often you stop to take photos. This is a great experience for all ages and abilities, and they even offer a selection of guided tours to choose from. Check their website for full details. How about exploring the surrounding Kent countryside a little differently? Thanks to its idyllic climate and fertile soil, Kent has become an award-winning winemaking region, and just outside Canterbury are some fantastic vineyards you can visit. You'll need to book some of these in advance, so check their websites for details. 20 minutes east of the city is the Barnsole Vineyard. This boutique Kent vineyard is famed for its premium quality sparkling wines. It's one of the oldest vineyards in Kent and offers visitors wine tasting sessions as well as guided tours of the vineyard. 15 minutes southeast of the city is the award-winning Simpsons Wine Estate. The Simpsons vineyards occupy glorious positions on the sunny, sheltered slopes of the North Downs of Kent and produces both still and sparkling wine. They offer a range of vineyard tours and tasting experiences for visitors, including their sunset sessions in the summer months. 10 minutes southwest of the city is Charlton Vineyard. This wine estate mixes great wine with art. Visitors can enjoy tasting its award-winning white, red and sparkling wine, go on a guided vineyard tour and attend one of its regular arts and craft exhibitions. So many beautiful little villages and towns can be found dotted all around Canterbury, making for ideal places to get outside and explore. Special mentions go to Fordwich, Bishopsbourne and Chilham, which we love for their picturesque architecture, welcoming pubs and cafes and gorgeous countryside walks. Due to its central location in East Kent, there are many beautiful beaches and coastal towns within easy reach of Canterbury. Popular seaside towns of Margate, Broadstairs, Ramsgate and Deal are less than an hour away, and not to forget Dover, home to the incredible White Cliffs and the historic Dover Castle. Even closer to Canterbury is the picturesque coastal town of Whitstable, and a little further east is Herne Bay. Whitstable is rich in maritime history. Here you can eat delicious fresh seafood from its working harbour and take boat trips to the Second World War's Monsell Forts. Alternatively, explore the town's many independent shops, art galleries and museums, and take a walk along its beautiful beach with its iconic colourful beach huts. Whitstable is easy to access by bus from Canterbury, taking around 30 minutes. However, for the more adventurous, cycling there via the Crab and Winkle Way is a delight. The path, which caters for riders of all abilities, takes its name from the pioneering railway which ran between Canterbury and Whitstable from the early part of the 19th century. It was one of the first to be built in Britain. On the 8-mile journey to Whitstable, the path passes through Blean Woods, a delightful nature reserve, and the beautiful conifer-dominated woodlands of Close Wood. Bicycles can be hired from the top-rated Kent Cycles in the centre of Canterbury. They have bikes for all ages and abilities, including e-bikes, and have another branch in Whitstable in case you only want to cycle one way. Herne Bay is also worth visiting for its miles of coastal paths and outstanding natural beauty, award-winning beaches, traditional seaside fun and a small vibrant town centre with many independent traders. There is of course a lot more to see and do in and around Canterbury, but we couldn't fit any more into this one video. So whatever your interests, be it cycling or walking, cooking or dancing, foraging and paintballing, search online to find out what else there is to see and do during your time here. There's a good amount of choice for all styles and budgets when it comes to places to stay in Canterbury. Accommodation prices here are very reasonable compared to other popular UK cities. When visitor numbers increase in the summer and around Easter and Christmas time, you should expect to pay a little more than at other times of the year. For those on a tight budget, you may want to avoid staying Friday and Saturday nights, as they are often busier and therefore can be more expensive. As Canterbury is so compact and walkable, you really can't go wrong when choosing any accommodation located inside its city walls. However, you could save a little money by choosing somewhere a short distance outside of here. Depending on what you're planning to do during your time here, you may wish to enjoy staying in one of the beautiful neighbouring towns and villages and head into the city from there. There's a pretty good local bus and train network to help you get quickly into and out of the city centre. Like most UK cities, there are many hotels, B&Bs, guest houses and holiday rentals available. But being surrounded by beautiful countryside and villages, Canterbury also has some amazing inns and manor houses, as well as camping and glamping options too. Some consistently top-rated hotels and B&Bs close to the city include the Canterbury Cathedral Lodge, Cathedral Gate Hotel, Ebury Hotel Cottages and Apartments, Harriet House B&B, Number 8, Pilgrims Hotel, the Full Staff Hotel, and the Sun Hotel. There are many more great accommodation options in and around Canterbury, so have a good look around before deciding. Pre-booking accommodation is a must in Canterbury, especially during peak times. To get the best prices and availability, pre-book as much as possible in advance. Please consider booking accommodation using one of our links in the description below. If you do, we will earn a small referral fee at no extra cost to you, and it helps us keep making more videos like this.
As you can see, Canterbury is a fantastic place to visit for a short break, and an even better getaway for a few days to explore its neighbouring villages and some of Kent's beautiful countryside and beaches. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe for more Curious Trip content to come, and let us know how your visit to Canterbury went in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. See you in the next video.